Hello everyone, episode 26. We are reaching the ending point, and here we are with the Super Bowl winners, Los Angeles Rams. Oh, no. Okay, the Rams did not win a Super Bowl, but they were the team that gave the most fits towards Philadelphia Eagles, and it's not really discussed as much. And I actually want to start this episode with actually discussing the Rams and Eagles game. And I know Eagles were a better team in the game, and it was just a really late comeback that actually made it really close. But nobody's talking about the fact that when I pinpoint a certain point in the end of the game, which is no, I'm not going to talk about defensive pass interference, holding. I'm okay with no call there, though I think it was a foul, but I'm not talking about that, right? And special Rams, with their history, I wouldn't really go there about no calls. But there is a point just before this play. There is minute 20 on the clock, and they are 3rd and 2, somewhere around 15 to 20 yards to the end zone, and they are 6 points down. So touchdown, an extra point gets you a lead. And at that point, as much as I think about Sean McVay, I felt like he made a mistake because they went for a passing play. And I really feel like that's a really dumb thing to do. And especially it was a passing play designed to score a touchdown. Well, obviously you want to score a touchdown, and if it works, then you still have not won because Eagles have around 1 minute and 10. They only need 30 to 35 yards, so they are in a kicking opportunity. So you are far from winning the game, even if you score a touchdown. And to go for boom or bust play at this point, rather than securing a first down, is to me just a mismanagement. And I would not go for a pass play at that point at all. I do understand that Matthew Stafford is in the zone. I do understand that the defense is on their heels. But just from equity point of view, from probability point of view, it's not a smart play. To me, the smart play here is run the damn ball. I feel like defense do not necessarily expect that. You should be able to secure pretty easy first down with Kyren Williams. With that being said, I really believe if you just choose to run the ball, or even if you just go for a quick one to Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua to just go and secure first down, which to me, that's a key thing in that situation. That's what you want to do. Because that puts you in a situation where there is around 50 seconds on the clock, unless you go out of bounds, and you have 4 downs to score a touchdown with Matthew Stafford, with Puka Nacua, with Cooper Kupp. That's just such a huge opportunity, and you are giving the Eagles less and less time to respond if you actually score. So to me, if they run the ball, are they favorites at that point of the game? If they secure a first down, which to me is very likely with that situation. Are they favorites? Probably not, but they are damn close to it. And I guarantee you it would be in one hell of an ending. As it happened on the 3rd down, Jalen Carter just burst out, made a play, sacked Matthew Stafford, put them in 4th and super long. There was a throw, there was a contact. I'm not going to go into no call or call. It's not I'm not a Rams hater, even though I'm a Seahawks fan. So to me, that was a pivotal thing that they did not do correctly. It happens. I do understand the thinking, just put the ball into the hands of Matthew Stafford, who I will defend to the best of my abilities, because to me, he is one of the top 7 to 8 quarterbacks in the league, which, is not everyone's opinion, I would say, on Matthew Stafford. But to me, that's the reality of him. But here, they were really close to defeating Eagles. And why I'm starting with this is not to, put salt in the wounds of the Rams fans. It's not to, diminish what Eagles have done, because then they just demolished Eagles, they demolished Commanders, and they demolished Chiefs. So, nothing against the Eagles, nothing against the Rams. But what I actually want to pinpoint by this is how freakly stuff can be in NFL. Imagine if that happens. How some of the narrative changes. suddenly Nick Sirianni, is he celebrated as a great head coach at that point because, like they have incredible roster and they blew a huge lead. At that point, like, is he on the hot seat if this happens, then it's Rams versus Commanders. Like, can you imagine that game? Like, Commanders could definitely win that game. And, maybe we have a rookie QB going for a Super Bowl. Like, the amount of narratives that could have been changed by, like, really making, in my eyes, a better call in that situation. And obviously, like, it would need to repay them. But it's just incredible. And that's just why one, love the NFL, but also B, I don't just purely go result based because results are like so fickle. And I know at the end of the day, in terms of business, in terms of fans, results are what I'm looking for. But if you want to predict results, if you want to predict how the team is going to go, you cannot just go based on their results. You need to understand the situations. You need to understand like how many things was happening in order for certain narrative or certain results to actually happen. So that's just one introduction of like one, how I think about the NFL, and B, like one kind of missed narrative that I don't really see or hear people out there. Even like when they are mentioning the Eagles, it's always like this excellent O-line, this D-line, Howie Roseman, what a freaking genius, Jalen Hurts, insane narratives about him being one of the best QBs. He's great, but he's not a top 4 QB, just not. Like, let's rewind the tape, and if the Rams win, and this call would definitely make them very close, like much closer to winning than what they actually have done, how does these narratives change? How do we talk about Jalen Hurts then? I actually feel like at that point, the biggest narrative on Jalen Hurts would be, well, look at how many snaps he's actually throwing the ball. It's such a slow amount. Like, they are a team about Saquon Barkley. The narrative would be like Nick Sirianni. Like, I freaking like Nick Sirianni would not be the championship-winning head coach, but he would be a guy that blow unbelievable lead, right? So just look at that, because previous to that play, like when Rams mounted the comeback, they scored a huge touchdown. Then the ball went to the Eagles, and on the second down, they actually did give the ball to Jalen Hurts, and he got sacked. Then they run and needed to punt, so that allowed Rams to have this opportunity. But if Rams actually win that game, I feel like there's going to be a lot of hate. Like, okay, we wanted for you, Jalen, to win us the game, and you screwed it up. Like, you got sacked, right? So that's just how frickly stuff can be in NFL, where like playoffs is one game, regular season 17 games. Like, it's crazy how small sample size we actually have compared to NBA, MLB, NHL. Like, compared to other sports, based on the physical demand of the sport, like, it's impossible to play. Like, people are saying it's even impossible to play 20 game. And I'm like, yeah, I understand that, but that's where the sample is just so freaking low. So that's also why sometimes it takes me much longer to appreciate someone's performance, because I'm saying like, well, this is like 500 snaps, man. Like, great, he was playing great, but what about 200 snaps for him at the college, right? What about 2,000 snaps before in his NFL career? So just one introduction, and I thought that Rams are going to be the right team to bring it on, because with them I really felt like this has not been discussed enough, and they were really freaking close to beating Eagles. With that out of my chest, out of my heart, let's talk about the Rams and their season, and we start as usual with their draft. And now let's talk about the Rams draft. And boy oh boy, I hate this draft as a Seahawks fan, because they hit on so many freaking players, and we start with the biggest hit, Jared Verse. What a player. Like, we are talking about the production, about the quality of play, that if he repeats next year, as early like half point of the season, he goes towards an elite category for me. Like, it was that impressive. The only thing lacking for him, to me, is the sample size. He was freaking insane. Like, absolutely up there with the top players. And like, I know it would be crazy but like I don't think he should be like completely omit from discussing as a defensive player of the year, because when we looked at this D-line before the season, it was like, oh my god, this giant hole left by Aaron Donald, and it's like a couple of decent starters that they have. Kobe Turner is a good starter in my opinion, but it's like they could be in trouble unless someone steps up. And Jared was like, nah guys, no problem, like very similar impact to like Will Anderson last year, and I would say this is even like better. Like it's kind of crazy that CJ Stroud and Will Anderson last year, like what the years these two guys have, and then just year after you have Jared Verse and Jaden Daniels kind of looking at that like, yeah, you did really freaking great, historic season, I can do one better. So that's really nasty from these two guys. Jared Verse, like what a freaking find. Braden Fisk, I was hugely negative about this pick, partially because like even in normal circumstances I felt this was reach, but they traded up to make this reach. And year one, like was he insanely productive? No, but I feel like he definitely was a guy worth paying this price for based on year one tape. You will need to like hide this weakness because he is a small player for a defensive tackle, and he will always most likely be a reliability in run defense. So you need to like scheme around that, but he is such an explosive weapon. His first move is really incredible, and he really started to emerge as I don't want to say like premier interior pass rushers, but one of the ascending ones. So there's going to be big expectations for you too for Braden Fisk, but year one definitely outplay what I thought of him, and really huge boost for this defensive line. They needed him to hit because they paid premium, and year one I feel like he did. We move to the third guy, Blake Corum. He did not play absolutely as much as you would expect it. Like to me, like moving him to decent starter is much more about like he was really on the edge for me towards like being decent starter even from get-go. And despite not playing too much, I feel like I've seen enough that like I can, give him that one rating point boost that actually put him to a different category. Though the expectation was he would be sharing more of this load from Kyren Williams, whether it's they really, really liked Kyren Williams and how he performed, or they just want to, I don't want to like say it brutally, but yeah, let's say brutally, like run him into the ground, because there's very big similarities between these two players, and Kyren Williams is going to be headed in his contract year, and Blake Corum could be a guy that naturally is a successor of him. So whilst Kyren is here and he plays for a rookie type of money on rookie deal, like, yeah, let's lean into him. And then when he kind of is wear and tear after 4 years, when we put 1,000 snaps on him each year, then we just go naturally to Blake Corum and we kind of stash him. Like, is it the most nice thing to do? Hell no. Is it how they can think? I feel like there is a part of it. Other part is like Kyren Williams is really good, though I don't think like he was close to what he was last year. Like he had a drop in terms of form, and like I don't really feel like there was like that much of like performance from Kyren that you just could not get him off the field, right? Like I think he's still a great player. We talk about him later, but yeah, it feels a little bit like let's just stack a wear and tear on Kyren Williams and just then naturally go to Blake Corum in 2026. So we will see how this ages. In terms of our picks, Cameron Kitchens, yeah, boy, it feel like they found their starting safety, like natural, right? In third round. Yeah, I freaking still hate this draft. Like, dude, yeah, he was like rock solid. very, very good season for a rookie safety. He was not like struggling in any certain area of the field that he would be like unplayable. Like we talk about Kalen Bullock, and he's a guy that's not going anywhere. He's going to be starter next year and probably in years to come. And if that was not enough, they got solid performance from Tyler Davis, who, like, I wouldn't say had no business of playing well, but like they used him. Though here I'm like I somehow have wrong amount of snaps. It's 354, not 919. I'm sorry guys for this. The other numbers are accurate. I don't know what happened here. Sorry, but like he was a useful player, useful guy into rotation, and like to find that it's ground, it's really valuable. Like not necessarily a guy that you expect to do much, but as your I don't know, like 5th defensive tackle, yeah, you take that for sure. And it kind of doesn't stop there, because they freaking find Jordan Whittington, and he didn't make the field like as like you just like he takes this position and like suddenly it's his. Like it's just 300 snaps, and it came mostly in the early part of the season when a lot of guys were injured. But when he was out there, he was pretty damn solid, and he's definitely part of this thinking of the Rams, why it's pretty much right after the season they were like, Cooper Kupp, yeah, we are like kind of ready to move from you. And like they might have found a starter in the 6th round for their wide receiver room. Yeah, great for you. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you. Really happy. And the thing is, it freaking doesn't stop there, because they have found their starting center in the 6th round. I didn't usually have like strong opinions on 6th and 7th round picks. I had a huge opinion on this one. I absolutely loved the fit, and yeah, because of injuries, he was forced to play, and he held up very like as you would expect from him. Like he was like very solid line blocker. He has a lot of ways to go in pass pro, and like he's definitely like benchable in that area. But as a huge guy, he really helps your run blocking, and I feel like he can develop in the pass protection slightly in the future and really be this very solid center. And to find him in 6th round, a guy that put up 1,000 snaps in his rookie year, I get like next to what for most part of the year was like a rotation of some guys. Wow, yeah, really happy for you. Not only you guys had an amazing draft, no, you are greedy. You have to go and get great undrafted rookies as well, right? Because like somehow, some way, what a freaking draft for the Rams. In weird turn of event, they traded away Ernest Jones just before the season started, and I'm like, I mean, they say linebackers don't matter, but like to this degree, it's like there's literally nobody I trust in that room left. Okay, but Chris Shula, who is a grandson of Dan Shula, and I'm making my bet, he is going to be interviewing for head coaching job next summer, or not next summer, next January. He just knew, like, he saw enough from Omar Spades, like, okay, yeah, I can work with this guy, and he can be one of our linebackers. And what a player he was for them. Like, you might be saying that even a good backup after such a season is kind of low on him, and like, maybe you're right. He was really good. And to kind of top it off, Jalen McCullough, safety, out of Tennessee Volunteers. He played a little bit of slot, a little bit in the box, a little bit as free safety, so kind of all over the place. Was almost entirely out there for passing snaps. Like it's kind of weird when you look at his snaps. It's like for most of the year we just put him in passing snap situation. 2 games we also give him running snaps. So pretty much in just 2 games he had like a full workload, but he was damn solid for an undrafted pickup. So I hope we are done with this draft. Nice. You know, these guys. Oh, Joshua Carty. Of course. I mean, at least Joshua was like not sensational, to put it this way. And Katie Levelston, yeah, he did not play. Brian Jackson as well. No, he played 47 snaps. Okay, so at least here you have not found a stat as of right now. But like when you look at this draft and how much they've been able to get out of this, freaking great job. Rams, you know, year one, it looks like, I don't want to go as much as a franchise-changing draft, but definitely a great one. So with draft being kind of off my back because as a Seahawks fan, this is just way too much to handle. Now let's go and look at how the players perform. And Matthew Stafford, his numbers do not look astounding, but like given especially early in the year, the amount of like protection busts and like throwing to his wide receivers 4 or 5, it was super hard for Matthew Stafford to be great this year. And I would say he still performed towards the level that allowed Rams to be in the conversation for probably not a Super Bowl. Yet I still am going to say, like, if they beat Eagles, and they were the closest thing to beating Eagles, who knows what could have happened. Like, he did not have a great game against Eagles, but that comeback was on his shoulders. And like he really, like, first 6 weeks it was bad. Ever since then he had one stinker against San Fran. Rest of the year he was really good. So Matthew Stafford, I still have him in this conversation. I was kind of shocked where it was like he wants out, whether it was like some sort of power play from him, that he like really wanted to secure more money, more security. I don't know. Or whether he like genuinely wanted out. I don't really understand why. Like, there was some things that I'm like, I wonder what is this all about. But to me, given the circumstances, still a really great year for Matthew Stafford. And you have to, at least I have to applaud him, because he is fucking, unbreakable. Like, he has over 15,000 snaps in the NFL. The amount of beatings he took behind Detroit O-lines and even like behind Rams O-line, it's just incredible. And he kind of shakes it off, battles through it, and yeah, like, I was definitely not a fan when Rams traded for him into our division. So you know, that's always the best praise that you get from division rival, that you don't like the moves that they are making, because you know you are going to facing this guy for years to come. Now let's shift towards running backs. And whilst I was saying like Karen did not look necessarily like the guy last year, I still feel like he was performing very vividly. I was close to lowering him. I think he is the guy that I will have on my radar during like the summer review, when I dig deep into some of the film, some of the tape, when I will be prepping for next season and giving you content for next season, where we go mesh all the free agency, all the draft moves, all the camp hype, and prepare you for what is to come. So with Kyren, I'm not sure I will rest him as an amazing starter, yet his production was still really good. We already talked about Blake Corum not really getting on the field as much as expected. In terms of wide receivers, I have to lower Cooper Kupp, while I have to put Puka Nacua towards an elite category. Because with Puka, I mean, like, is he top 5 for me? I wouldn't say so, but I feel like his play absolutely justifies getting towards the elite category. Obviously with him, the kind of only question you have is a durability. Like, that's why he fell in the draft, was health concerns. And even year 1, year 2, he missed several games. Like, year 1 he missed I think 2 or 3 games. He still break records. This year he missed like 6 or 7 games. So can his body sustain the level of craziness he plays with? Because like, he like he is such a physical specimen for such a small guy. It is like incredible. And like having a production that he had on this amount of snaps, like if he played the whole season, he would be most likely leading the league in yards, receptions, probably not touchdowns, but in yard and receptions for sure. So to me, that was enough to put him into an elite category. And with him, like kind of similar to Kyren Williams, I really wonder how the Rams are actually going to approach the rest of Puka's rookie contract, because at one point it would be like such a shame to not continue to funnel this offense through Puka because he is incredible. But if you continue to do so, I feel like his durability in terms of how long he can actually play in the NFL, like you are kind of lowering the chances that you can really run his health into the ground during the rookie contract. So you could actually get 4 years of this amazing player for free almost. Like it's like combined 5 million, which is like, it's going to be 7 with like performance bonuses, but really nothing compared to what you are paying top receivers. And then it's like, is this guy going to get paid? Because with the amount of hits he's taking, with his play style, there is a legit shot that during his final year he is going to sustain a huge injury. Like I obviously am far freaking away to wish something to Puka. Like I'm a Seahawks fan, but boy oh boy, I love Puka Nacua. Like as a player, he's so fun to watch. As a person, he looks like absolutely guy that you wish nothing but the best, even if whatever. Like this guy is crazy good, crazy fun, and like crazy likable, at least to me. So nothing, I wish him nothing like that, but I feel like if he's like supposed to have 10 plus years in the NFL, I don't think it's sustainable with how he treats his body at this point, given how much he struggled in his college years and even in the NFL right now. So, with him, it's not like, this random ACL tear or whatever, that could deteriorate your career. I feel like this is just, they need to figure out slightly, like to ease him up slightly with his play style. We will see if that happens, but it's just something that I wanted to mention with Puka, because I would freaking hate if he, based on how he plays the game, he would not earn himself a bunch of money. I like really wish it to him. Cooper Cup, it's kind of, they are not like super similar to Puka, but Cooper is also the guy that plays super hard every single play. And luckily for him, his body was able to hang on to that for like 10 seasons. Now it starts to break down a little bit. He is still a very, very useful player, very good player. Like, he was clearly sorely missed. But to me, as of right now, and the reason why Rams are trying to move off him, not only because a huge cap hit, but also on average, I feel like you have him for 10 to 11 games. It doesn't feel like his body can handle the whole workload of the NFL season on average. And in those 10 to 12 games, you are not getting the best versions of Cooper Cup, which, once upon a time was Triple Crown winner. So like creme de la creme of wide receivers. I feel like you are still getting very good number 2, but not necessarily a guy that you can or want to funnel your offense through. With Puka and Cooper being on sidelines for several games, they needed some other players to step up, and yeah, they did. Tutu Atwell, really nice contract year for him. Like, I think he's really one of like bottom tier, good starter for me, but wide receiver 3 that you are like super happy with. At some teams, he can portray as number 2, but I would say one of the better wide receivers 3 in the game. And I think it's going to be his spot for next year as well, behind Puka and someone. I know who that someone's going to be, but when I was making these presentations, and as I continuously to say, with my roster breakdowns, I'm doing that before free agency. But as we right now know, Devontae Adams is going to be number 2. Yeah, I'm super happy for that. Super happy for the Rams. I'm bitter. I'm kind of bitter, right? Yeah, I am. Because they have other good players. Like we already talked about Jordan Whittington, kind of hit for the sixth rounder. He really looked apart as your 4-5. That's how good. And Demarcus Robinson, another player that in his contract year was solid for them. Like I know, like only 45 receptions on 70 targets doesn't look great, but 602 yards kind of tells you about the role that he is in this offense, and he was delivering on this one. So durable and playing really well. I wonder where he's going to land. Is that clear? Yeah, San Francisco was able to snatch him up. Well, that makes sense. Now, again, I will talk in much more details about all the free agency in episodes that will come in early April before the draft, so make sure you will watch them. Here I'm just like reacting to some of the news a little bit to give you guys context. With tight ends, Tyler Higbee, I feel like you unfortunately cannot rely on him as your future tight end. Like his body is giving up at this point. When he's out there, I think he's still solid, but they have one more year of him where like by cutting him they would save close to nothing. So I feel like they will keep him on the roster, and like if he's healthy, great. If he's not, like we couldn't save too much money. And they kind of predicted Colby Parkinson to step up into his role as a tight end one, someone that was nurtured by the Seahawks just to leave us to the Rams. And like I don't blame him with the amount of money that Rams gave him. It was like 3 years, 22.5 million. So they were kind of predicting him to take a leap towards being like low-end tight end one or one of the best tight end twos in the league. I feel like he did not necessarily make that type of leap in his first year with Rams, but he was solid for them. I cannot say that he wasn't. But right now he's one of the worst starting tight ends in the league. But like when you have Higbee that can occasionally play, which would make him tight end 2, and he's still only 26 or will just turn 26. No, he just he has he's early into his 26th year. Yeah, you can predict him like having his best football ahead. And really, like he, I think, fits the mold of a tight end that they want in the system. Some of the tight ends needed to step up, with Tyler Higbee being sidelined for most of the year, and they were solid. Both Davis Allen and Hunter Long. Like you would like to see much more from Davis Allen rather than Hunter Long, because you don't have Hunter for next year. Davis was a 5th rounder 2 years ago. So far, not so good. Like he's playable. He is clearly a blocking specialist, useful, tight end free, but not necessarily anything more in his future. Now let's shift towards the offensive line, and their left tackle Eric Jackson. I feel like was he undrafted or was he like a late round pick? Yeah, he was undrafted pickup. So it's kind of undrafted guy that, how to say it about the like year one he played, had some flashes, but he really didn't carve himself up a starting job. But pretty much since year 2, we were like, okay, left tackle is your position, show us. And from being one of the bottom 3 starting left tackles, he continuously grows and grows towards, like at this point, 22nd best left tackle, which just tells you how crazy this position is. But he's a really good player, and I do expect him to be back with the Rams, because they really developed a potential franchise left tackle from him. He's going to be 27 entering the next year, so he's not like the old prospect. And like the fact this guy to me is just a good starter, he continues to develop every single year, and like I would say he's like 20th best left tackle in the league. That just tells you how insane the competition is out there. But you can definitely freaking live with Alaric Jackson as your left tackle. On the other side, Rob Havenstein, this steadily veteran presence that they have from Rob. He's like, for multiple years in a row, he's 10th best right tackle in the league, and you kind of expect him to fall off from that. Like the years when you expected him to rise even higher are like beyond, but you kind of expect him to go down a little bit. He had some injuries. He's not like, he is still delivering. He's not like super special, but like when your Rob Havenstein is your right tackle, you don't have a freaking problem. He is really good, and how many years he has? 1 year left on his deal. Like his cap hit is just 11 million, so he's quite cheap. When he resigned, it was like pretty much on an average 11 millions a year. Yeah, Rams are doing some things really good. And when I say some, I mean a lot of them. They piss me off. They're really good. Varen McClendon, he needed to step up when both of these guys missed some time. This was his second year. He was a 5th rounder 2 years ago. I feel like as a solid backup, yeah, you can definitely live with Varen McClendon out there. You obviously feel the drop from both Alaric Jackson and Rob Havenstein if you put Varen out there. But I would say this is kind of a dream situation. Like, you have very cheap backup for 4 years, drafted really low. You can turn to him, and like if he's playing 10 games, you will feel the problem. But for one game, if it's not a playoff game or if it's not the game that decides your division, you can have Varen McClendon down there, and you are not like having a super problem with that. Yeah, that must feel good for the Rams. And now let's go to interior. I feel like when we've seen the early depth chart, it was about Steve Avila moving to center, Kevin Dotson and Jonah Jackson to play guards. But it feels like Bollimer impressed so much in the preseason camp that they were like, well, Bo, starting center job is yours. We turn to Steve to keep his guard, as well as Kevin Dotson, and Jonah Jackson is going to be competing with Steve Avila for a starting job. Kevin Dotson, what a find this guy was for the Rams. Like getting him for like almost nothing. It was like 5th rounder from the Steelers a year ago. And bad thing for the Steelers is like whenever they turned to him, he played really well. But like probably something was not clicking in the locker room. He was not the guy that they expected to use in their system. And Rams hugely benefited from it. Like, was he as good as he was last year when he really burst and looked like one of the premier guards in the league? No. But part of it was, like especially early in the year, he struggled more with like new guys around him, some of the injuries happening to his O-line. But as the year progressed, he was very solid, and I think he has definitely potential, maybe through the summer series or the next year, to move towards an amazing starter in my category. Bollimer, we already talked about him. With Steve Avila, like, did we see enough of a progress for him as a 2nd round pick a year ago? I wouldn't say so. Like, as of right now, I feel like he returns like 85% of 2nd round pick value, which is like still pretty good. But you would like him to play more as a good starter as of right now, where like in your ideal world, he develops into important or an amazing starter, like on average. Not on average, like that's how you project like a 2nd round guards to be, like that's their kind of peak, their happy path, to say so. So he's not totally on this trajectory, but he's far from the bust that he at some point of last year he looked like. He definitely needs to figure out his pass protection to a better degree, and that kind of works for Bollimer as well. And that's where like part was injuries to the Havenstein, and part was like, while these guys are really good in one phase of what they are doing, their pass pro for the whole interior is kind of problematic. So that's where like a lot of praises or a lack of negative talk goes towards Matthew Stafford, because he needed to like put up with this, and like you can see it on all these guys. Like again, this is not about or only about PFF grades, but I have them here so you can project these players like in very quick sense. But when you compare their pass blocking efficiency towards their run blocking rates, like every single one of them has at least 20 more points in run blocking than in pass blocking. That I don't think I've ever seen that for a starting trio next to each other. Like that's just freaking insane. So is this even like a playable free to move forward if they cannot take steps in terms of pass pro? That could be a good question. Like can they afford to be like so one-dimensional in what those guys are doing great? Because like I said, if you know in other interiors, it's like Bolimer and Steve Avila are your two bad or like a below average interior offensive guards and center, and then you have a great player next to them like Kevin Dotson is, that can absolutely function. But can it function in a way that like they are near top of the league, but they would be probably like top 10 run blocking trio whilst being like bottom 5 pass pro? So yeah, I really wonder whether they will like address it in some capacity, or they will just count that Bolimer and Steve Avila especially will make progress in this part of the game. We'll see about that one. In terms of backups, they had Jonah Boom, they had Jonah Jackson, like delivered solid performance when they were out there, which they needed. Again, like kind of a team for this O-line, much better in run blocking than pass protection. So that's your offense for the Rams. And preseason, I was thinking that if the Rams are about to succeed after Aaron Donald retirement, it was going to be through the offense. And whilst offense definitely was not like super bad by any stretch of imagination, I would say they played slightly below my expectations. Like when we look at them, they scored 367 points, which ranked them like towards bottom 7 in national in NFC. So like my expectations would be they would be top 5 in terms of points scored, and they were kind of bottom 5. So how come that I almost introduced them as the Super Bowl winners? Well, what a freaking great job Chris Shula done with this defense, because like it was not a top 5 defense in the league, but with the personnel that they had, I did expect them to have like bottom 10 at best, bottom 10 defense. And they were far away from that. So let's take a look at the personnel. Jared Verse, we already talked about him. I mean, you cannot really put it all on him. Like he was insane, but he was just part of the solution here for Chris Shula. And we talk about him, so we will leave the conversation for others. Byron Rank, I wanted to see more in terms of like when you look at purely numbers, they look great, especially 11 sacks. But I was like, to me, he's edge free. I don't feel like he necessarily showed me anything that would put him above that status for me. He's already 27 years old, so like the fact that he is like mature enough to play the position, he does understand, with new scheme from Kishua, what he needs to do, and he can be productive, great. But is he necessarily like elevating, doing things above the scheme, winning his reps, one-on-ones when he gets them? I would say he's decent at that. Still, like a very solid player. Like I'm not taking away from him. Like that was really good season for him. To me, I do struggle to see him to become much more than a good starter in the future, which still for a third round selection. And they kind of went about this in this way, like, okay, he is a high floor prospect, obviously with his age. And like if we get more than a third edge, great. He should be not at worst, but we project him to be as like a third or rotationally second edge. Well, great. That's what he delivered. So like I think you are absolutely happy with Byron Young. It's just like I don't look at 11 sacks and say that's great. And I kind of feel the same way about Michael Hecht, who is a guy that yet again Rams found undrafted, and he kind of steadily delivers to them. He signed like very small $3 million offer last year, kind of prove it deal for him, and he proved it. He now is eligible to earn a back in this offseason. He signed with the Bills for $21 million, 14 of them guaranteed. So like a huge congratulations for this player, like who, you know, like he's solid, very solid, kind of can do it all, slightly weird body type, kind of in and out, like in terms of edge, defensive tackle, like he kind of plays on this weird defensive role and defensive end role, where he kind of moves more, like he's not like stable in one position. But I just cannot help myself but to root for these players that from, I don't want to say nowhere, but because even undrafted players that get invitation from teams, like were probably best athletes at some schools during their life. So like that is but it's unusual for these guys to earn themselves back, and Michael Hecht absolutely did. He absolutely deserves that. I wish him nothing but the best. Again, for the Rams, he was a very, very useful piece. It's going to be interesting if they will be able to replace him. Yet, like he's still just a decent starter, so nothing in terms of like a major loss. And honestly, the guy that impressed me the most out of this trio, like we already talked about Braden Fisk outplaying my initial thoughts about him from the draft. Bobby Brown was kind of a guy that he was the size of this defensive line, which is very, like compared to other teams, they don't really have the sheer mass in terms of D-line. And it's like kind of crazy, which when they were like, we have the biggest of the biggest guys in terms of our offensive line, and then we have kind of the smallest of the smallest in terms of interior of the defensive line. And I mean, when I say smallest, like it's compared to NFL players, not compared to regular people. But Bobby Brown like absolutely needed to be that cork in the middle of the defense, a guy that can provide them with this sheer mass of a human body, and he absolutely delivered. But to me, the most impressive guy out of this three was Kobe Turner. Why? Well, I was like not super high on him in terms of when you are next to Aaron Donald, you have a huge opportunity to emerge as a premier player, because the amount of gravity that this guy is going to attract, like double team, triple team, just in minds of those players, like he demands attention. So you have a lot of opportunities where you just go one-on-one with the guard, and even that guard is like one half of his eyes like watching Aaron Donald, because he knows he can do a double team and just pump up behind him and sack a quarterback. So I was like, can Kobe Turner just kind of do this on his own, like be the main guy? He was. What a season for Kobe Turner, like absolute dominant player in terms of, like I'm much more impressed with him this year than I was last year, even though like his PFF grade is much lower than last year, like not much, like 8, it was 83, it's now 75. But now doing this without Aaron Donald, hella impressed by Kobe Turner, and what a, again, fine from the Rams. Like it's crazy. It's really crazy how Rams in the first iteration of Sean McVay was like, let's spend all our picks, bring veteran stars, and just make it happen like that. And they won Super Bowl like that. And then there is the second iteration in which they are freaking building through draft, and they are doing hell of a job. It's like, okay, what's going to be next? Like, are you going to build it from, I don't know, from the Lego or whatever? Like, it's just annoying how good they are in this. Like, yeah, You kind of wanted them to go away. You feel like with Aaron Donald retirement, you at least have some kind of breathing room, especially when our O-line is, how to say it politically correctly, shit. No, they have to, like, Kobe Turner, great second year. Braden Fisk, very solid year one. Jared Verse, monster. I'm worried about Sam Darnold, to say it lightly. No, in Tyler Davis, we're talking about him. Solid performance from the bench, from like a lowly drafted player. 919 snaps is a mistake by me. Sorry about this, guys. Neville Gallimore, yet another just veteran signing that was there to play some rotational snaps to give these guys some breather. But yeah, it's really all about this youth ascending players. Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, Byron Rank, and Jared Verse. The question was, can they replace Bobby Brown? Can they bring him back? They let him go, but they've signed Poona Ford for 3 years, 30 millions, and like, this is freaking bargain. Like, what? Chargers, don't freaking tell me that you could not afford to bring him on this back, like, after the performance. Poona, why are you going to the Rams? Like, I know we probably don't need you in our defensive line, but Rams, why? I'm not going to enjoy, like, watching Poona Ford against our interior offensive line. Like, I love Poona, but it's going to be painful. So yeah, like this episode, I'm coming a little bit more bitter, a little bit more in terms of actually commenting on some stuff. But yeah, it's a division rival, and they are doing stuff incredibly well. So credit where credit is due. In terms of linebackers, we already talked about them letting go Ernest Jones, and I was like, okay, they are just totally giving up on this position, because at that point it was Troy Lider and Christian Roseboom, and to me, you know, like, they are linebackers too that you are expecting to move on from, but they found Omar Spades from undrafted corridors and was really able to rely on him to be there. Not the main guy, because Christian Roseboom was playing most of the snaps, but I would say the best performing guy, and kind of a player that they feel really good about for next season. And both Trey Leader and Christian Roseboom are going to be most likely gone, because they are not a player that you are like feeling bad about losing. Wonder if they will try to bring some great linebacker through the draft, or whether they will just kind of figure it out, for $2 million somehow, some way, for like another undrafted rookie. But Omar Spades, what a year! Troy Christian Roseboom, replaceable linebackers too, solid players, nothing else to say. And we go towards the safeties, and Cameron Curl, Quentin Lake, Cameron Kitchens. So we start with Cameron Curl. I was once again one of the people that really like the signing for Rams. I feel like he is very solid safety. They signed him for, I would say, very cheap compared to where I have him, but then it was like, I feel like he was signed very early last year in terms of free agency, and I was like, just this small amount, but then it was like, really safeties was being cut left and right, and nobody was like willing to pay them significant amount of money, which kind of changed this offseason. Again, one topic I'm eager to dive on in early April. But back to Cam Curl, 2 years, $9 million. I feel like he is a very solid player, and definitely a player that you can count on as a good enough starting safety for sure. And like, is he necessarily a leader? Is he necessarily the ascending top superstar? No, but he is just a solid freaking safety, and get that for a guy that was super young entering the year. So he has like 5 years under his belt. You can still assume that he is going to improve. He's only 26, or he's going to be 26. I mean, that was a great signing, and I think year one, he absolutely was what you expected. He was freaking solid. Like, nothing special, but for 4.5 million a year, bargain. Then you find Cameron Kitchens in the draft, and he absolutely delivered. you feel very good about the safety duo. Quentin Lake kind of was moving between safety and a slot, 500 snaps as a slot, 400 as a free safety, 250 in the box. Like, they were moving him as a chess piece all over the field. For a 6th rounder, is a solid player, like nothing special. He is not like, any shades of like Kyle Hamilton's or other guys that are being moved around like this. It's like very, very poor man version of that. But again, like, you are paying nothing. Like, even this safety room that like looks very, very good. You are combined on 7 million based because like you were able to draft so well and really bring a nice free agent on a cheap contract. So great job for their front office. And we already talked about Jalen McCullough, undrafted guy that, he was able to carve himself up some snaps and is a solid backup for next year's. Now let's talk for a little bit about Emmanuel Forbes, because it's very unusual for a 1st round pick to be let go by his team within the 2nd season. And he was tragic for the Commanders. Like, they've drafted him for a specific role with Ron Rivera last year. It did not work, and the new regime was kind of pretty much done with him very, very soon. He was overdrafted, but I mean, still, this is just going to be his 3rd year. So I'm not like so down on him as I'm like on a guy like Kenyon Green. I'm really intrigued how the whole offseason with the Rams, with Chris Shula, if they will keep him, which I believe they should. Is he? Yeah, he's still on their roster. If he's able to like remind us why he was like highly touted prospect, like, yeah, 1st round was a reach, but in most of the mock drafts he was early 2nd round prospect. So I'm really wondering whether he can figure it out. And they just got him for nothing. So like, yeah, you are paying more money for him because he was a 1st round prospect, and his 1st round deal is still going on. So the cap hits are above 2 million for him, but that's obviously not a great amount of money given the cap hit situation across the league. And of course, even like that, he has nice potential. Hello, Jingy. What do you want? Do you want to tell something? No. Sorry, guys. She's not talkative today. Now, let's talk about corners that actually play. Like, during the year, they've benched and let go Tre'Davious White, whom they brought on 1 year, 8 million type of deal, like trying to get the best of the best out of Trey White, like declining body. Unfortunately, it just did not happen. Trey White, another example of like how injuries can like make you from top player towards like you are cut by several teams within like 2 or 3 years. The sport is ruthless. It's brutal. Darius Williams, he missed first couple of games with injury, then came back, and it wasn't great for Darius Williams. Like, I still have him as a good starter for what he's done prior to the season, but definitely a guy on my watch, probably not over summer because I feel still really good about where he is ranked. But for next year, I really wonder how they think about him, whether they will try to replace him in the draft or in the free agency. And it's like, I'm not saying that Emmanuel Forbes, like, given the risk is almost zero on him, is like a clear reminder of like Rams are not happy with Darius Williams, but they clearly want to have more options as a corner and striving for high upside because Darius Williams is in his back years of his career, and they kind of hope that they can stop the decline and continue to be at least good starter for them for at least 1 more year. Kobe Durant in his 3rd year, solid season, not necessarily a leap that should make him like super high touted free agent next year. He doesn't have like the super great pedigree 4th round, but again, he is a solid player for a 4th round pick. Like, like after last year, it was questioned whether he can be a starter. Like, I would still say you want better than Kobe Durant as your starter, but if he is your two next to a great player, like better player than Darius Williams, you can get by with that. If this is a combination of Darius Williams as he played this year and Kobe Durant, that kind of went why this defense was not able to achieve really great things, because backend was not really delivering. So they need to, I think, address this situation, because Akil Witherspoon was kind of, I don't want to say band-aid, but just a veteran that you brought in to give you some solid floor with Trey White and other guys not really stepping up. But overall, I feel like this is their worst performing unit. And unlike with other, you don't necessarily have like super high expectations towards the future. Like perhaps Kobe Durant can step it up a little bit, but I think even at best he is a good 2. You are still missing 1 in this room. So that was your Rams in 2024. Now let's hand out some rewards. In terms of draft hit, I mean, you know it. Everybody knows it. It was Jared Verse. What a freaking find. Like, I mean, you can kind of say that in terms of value, they had another 5 candidates for this award, which is absolutely crazy. But I feel like Jared Verse just absolutely stands over all of them, because they have found like their pass rusher edge player 1 for like 4 more years before he is like insanely expensive. Like I don't know if if I do like believe that this is his ceiling. Like I really feel like he has an eliteness in his future, and like barring some bad injury, Rams have their best rusher for next 10 years, and really great one. And bad thing is, for 4 years he's going to be reasonably cheap. So damn you Rams. In terms of draft blunder, like it was very slim pickings. I would say Black Corum, just because of the fact that he was unable to really, like he was fighting for running back 2. Again, it might be about how they want to like use him in terms of how they want to allocate the resources, and perhaps Kyren Williams is going to be way too pricey for them for next year, so they just want to run him into the ground and then succeed with Blake Corum kind of automatically. But I would say for year 1, Blake Corum like did enough to move me from good backup to decent starter, but not enough in terms of, I thought he's going to be much better of a hit than he was year 1. Like you can see my grade was an A. In terms of cornerstone of this franchise, I went for Puka. I mean, it could have been Jared Verse, and like they were very close in this. I just felt like with Jared Verse, he already is a draft hit. I wanted to give the award to someone else, so that was what was kind of different. I feel like Puka is like slightly less clear for that like cornerstone for the future because of his problems with durability. I just hope he stays healthy, man. Like I know I should not be rooting for Rams players as a Seahawks fan, but I am a football fan as well. And Puka, like, yeah, I just love it. In terms of unsung hero of this team, I went for Alaric Jackson because from an undrafted free agent towards franchise left tackle, steadily improving year after year after year, being that steady presence, not really missing games, improving both his phases, especially in terms of run blocking for this year. Definitely an unsung hero for this team. In terms of flop, it could have been Tredavious White, but it was always like high risk, high reward type of deal with Trey White, whilst with Darius Williams, they and me as well expected better player, and it was not like it's not out there. He was just not able to produce. Like with Trey White, it was like there is 20% of a chance that we flip a coin and trade like or or dice, or we roll the dice. Stop it. Or we roll the dice, and he's going to be Trey White of the past. And there was like 80% or 90% of the chance that he was going to be unplayable because like his body was just not able to like keep him on the field. And when he was out there, you were feeling that he just slowed down tremendously. Well, with Darius Williams, I don't think like the decline in his like physical abilities is that steep. Yet he was not really able to produce when he came off injury. So that's why he is my flop for this team. Yet I don't really feel like that's like super like one of the lower flops that I had in this series. Where is this franchise at? Well, they are in a really good spot because they have one of the best head coaches out there in Sean McVay. Like I said, the only thing that I kind of have against him is I feel like the time management in that Eagles game. He could have done better. In terms of 2024, they kind of replaced Aaron Donald with Jalen Wirfs. Obviously different positions, but like this huge ascending player that is going to be knocking on the doors of eliteness very, very soon. They were able to overcome bad start, a lot of injuries, and really, like I said, they could have won the Super Bowl in my eyes if they made a better call on that third down, because against Commanders, it would have been a good matchup, probably like close to 50-50. And with the Chiefs, like the way that Eagles were able to beat them, I feel like the Rams D-line could have caused them similar troubles. I mean, obviously Saquon would not run over them, but Karen might have. Like again, I think if they make that call, we could talk about them as a Super Bowl winner. So there's just a very, very small amounts of that would discourage you from the season. It was decline of Cooper Kupp. It was not necessarily like figuring out the whole cornerback room, and okay, I would say like pass protection in terms of their interior, but huge draft, great results, winning division, Puka, Jared Verse, Kobe Turner, like so many great things. In terms of QB, I give them 1+. Like I have Matthew Stafford in this close to elite category, but like he is further away from that. He is older than other guys in this amazing starter category. And like they are paying him top money. So yeah, like based on quality, age, and finances, it's just plus. But I like me some Matthew Stafford. In terms of hot seat, why is it 2? Why is it not 1? Well, it's hot in LA, so now that would be a feeble joke. Why is it 2? It's about Matthew Stafford. It's about Cooper Kupp. Like the fact that they are moving from Coop. There were some things going on with him and Matthew Stafford. Like that's the only thing that they might have been some slight fraction with the veterans in the locker room. So that's why this is not 1. But I just don't believe they would move off from Sean McVay in any foreseeable future. In terms of finances, because of super great drafts, kind of back to back, they still have like some not great contracts, so that's the only thing that like holds this from free. But yeah, they are in a good financial situation, or were before the free agency started, which is where we've done this. In terms of strength, like they have so many strengths that I actually, not to be lazy, but I'm just stunned with the coaching job there. Like Sean McVay, we know what he is, how great freaking he is, but what Chris Shula was able to do with their defense, that to me, at the start of the season, I would say is one of the least talented defenses. And if you talk to me like they were really, really okay, to me it was like, okay, so Darius Williams and Trey White, hit the upper side of their performances. It wasn't about them. So I'm impressed by the scheme. I'm impressed by the development of young players. So at the end of the day, I really went for the coaches because I feel like this is tremendous jobs. It was still year 1 for him, so I cannot rate him like super, super, super high, but I'm just freaking impressed. Like similar to like Jesse Minter with the Chargers, like hella impressed with that. In terms of division, like looking at this from Rams perspective, like I think you have 3 good teams. You can question whether San Francisco is a really great team. You can question whether Arizona is slightly under average. But to me, you have 3 good teams against you in the division. No one is a free win. Like Arizona is ascending. I feel like Seahawks, they went 10-7. Like, yeah, we are not bad, right? And San Francisco, yeah, they had a super poor year. Injuries, tough home situations. And, just a year before that, they went to the Super Bowl. So it's not an easiest division, but it's not the toughest one either. Like, you cannot pinpoint a juggernaut that they have to compete against from their side. Now, let's take a look at how the roster could shape up from 2076, how I've predicted it. So I really feel like their O-line is kind of set. Alaric Jackson, Steve Avila, Bo Limmer, Kevin Dotson, Rob Havenstein. The only guy that was not under contract was Alaric Jackson. As of right now, I know they re-signed him, and it was always my expectations for Alaric. I had to hear Matthew Stafford when they were talking about moving him, I'm like, interesting. That would be a miss, but yeah, Matthew Stafford is going to be behind the center. In terms of how they will think about this playmaker room, I feel like they will continue to start Colby Parkinson and hope for his development. They will probably draft a tight end, since you cannot really depend on Tyler Higbee and his health going forward. And Colby Parkinson did not necessarily ascend to greatness year one. So you want to have some nice developing option behind him. But as a start of the year, I feel like Colby should be their guy. The same with Kylan Williams. Puka, absolutely. I predicted they would move from Cooper Cup. It was kind of writing on the wall, similar to Seahawks with the Lockett. Like, you like them. They have been great soldiers for your franchise, but the cap hits just do not match the production. I've expected them to bring DeMarcus Robinson and Tutu Atwell back. As of right now, it's just Tutu back, and DeMarcus was moved on. So I was not right with this prediction, and I expected them to go for two that would replace Cooper Cup. As of right now, we know that's going to be Devontae Adams. How I feel about that, you will need to wait for the free agent episode. In terms of backups, Jonah Jackson, yeah, he's moved by now, but I was expecting they would keep him as a backup. Jordan Willington, absolutely, wide receiver 4 that you can count on, really nice find. Tyler Higbee, yeah, it's only about health, given that they are not really earning anything or close to anything by releasing him. They will keep him as this option, but I doubt that they will count with him as a starter going forward. And with Bycorm, I feel like this is going to be the year when he starts to split more 70-30 with Kyren Williams. In terms of other backups, I was not certain who they would bring back or keep. In terms of defense, you might be surprised that I don't have Byron Young here, but like I said, I feel like he is edge free in the great D-lines, and I really feel like this has the making of a great D-line. And I do believe that Rams could be or should be addressing the edge 2 position, whether it's due to free agency or to the draft, because they have potential to have something truly special here. I don't think Byron Young is going to be high end 2. He could be low end 2, but I would be, if I were them, again, this is kind of how I predict things to go, as well as giving my thoughts, my tweaks towards how I would pinpoint it. So I would really try to go and bring myself a great 2 and make this D-line a huge strength of this team. In terms of linebackers, I feel like you are missing one. I think Omar Speights, there is a reason why he went undrafted. I think he's like incredible fine and great LB2, but I feel like you need a one starter here. In terms of the secondary, to me, you are missing the top piece. Like, you are missing great shutdown corner. There were a couple of them that you can address in terms of free agency. There are a couple of them that have the potential in the draft. So to me, like with Darius Williams and Cameron Curl, they are the steady veteran presence that should be holding this group together. In Kobe, Cameron, and Quentin, you have guys that are solid enough to start, and you expect them or hope for them to grow. So they are like a solid foundation, but you need better, in my opinion, and that better to me is literally looking out for corner 1. that really can make this secondary as a group to be like average to slightly under average, depending on how the young guys are going to develop. And I would like not put it behind Cameron Curl to like still produce something. Like he is still young. Like I feel like he is even younger than Quentin Lake, despite having 2 more seasons in the league. So like it's a good foundation, but it's a weakness on this team unless you address it. In terms of backups, I did expect them to bring Michael Horse back. As we talked about, he is gone. I feel like Byron Eck, he could be on the first one, but yeah, I really feel like he is one of the best threes out there. I really would like him to play like 700 snaps for me, not necessarily close to 1,000. We will see how the Rams address this situation. And Emmanuel Forbes, like still the pedigree is there, the form or the play has not been. We will see if Chris Shula is able to make Emmanuel Forbes somehow, some way, great starting corner. Yet again, like give this dude an interview in next January. And I'm not saying that as a Seahawks fan, like just to trying to push Chris Shula away from the Rams. Hell no, absolutely not. Yeah, I'm happy that they have great defensive coordinator. Of course I am, of course. Sorry guys, this was kind of a weird episode. Let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed me being slightly more like a fan during this episode, yet keeping it honest with my takes. Please comment on that, give me likes, give me comments. I would appreciate it all. Until next time, have a nice day. Bye bye.